At the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, the grouping strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack, even as Prime Minister Narendra Modi said supporting terrorists for political gain should be unacceptable. The 17th BRICS Summit joint declaration strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack. In fact, the MEA is holding a presser. Let's quickly cut across.
Brazil for the 17th BRICS Summit hosted by Brazil. This 2 days summit assumes significant importance in the context of the fast-changing global developments. Brazil, as the theme of the Brazil's 17th summit, is strengthening global South cooperation for inclusive and sustainable governance. Honorable Prime Minister's visit assumes added importance. In my view, it's really elevated the entire summit, as we could sense during the opening session today. The importance that President Lula has given attached to Honorable Prime Minister's participation, and the fact that India is a founding member of the BRICS, and India had always participated in the BRICS Summit, and also the fact that next year India will be taking over the chair of the BRICS. So his importance, his Honorable Prime Minister's participation assumes greater significance and importance given that background. Today was a full day program. There were 3 sessions with a working lunch, and Honorable Prime Minister also had few bilaterals and also pull-asides during the day. It was a packed session day. Honorable Prime Minister thanked President Lula for warm hospitality extended to him and his delegation. And he also welcomed the Indonesian President for joining as a full member of the BRICS, and he welcomed also the participation of the partner countries in this summit. The 17th summit has a very large participation. There are 11 permanent members. There are 9 partner countries, 8 invitee countries, and 7 heads of the international organizations. So from that point of view, it's a relatively larger participation as compared to last year. Let me give you a brief overview on the sessions. Honorable Prime Minister addressed the session on global governance and peace and security, where he reaffirmed India's commitment to enhancing the voice of the global South. He noted that developing countries required greater support for sustainable development in terms of access to climate finance and technology. He reiterated that the global organizations of the 20th century lacked the capacity to deal with the challenges of the 21st century. And therefore, he underscored the importance of reforming the multilateral organizations. He called for a multipolar and inclusive world order, and stated that the global governance institutions, particularly the UN Security Council, the IMF, the World Bank, and the WTO, must undergo urgent reform to reflect the contemporary realities and times. On the session on peace and security, Honorable Prime Minister underlined that terrorism was a grave threat facing humanity. In this context, he noted that all the leaders have condemned Pahalgam terrorist attack in strongest terms. He underlined that the attack, the Pahalgam attack, terror attack, is an onslaught on the entire humanity. He also noted that those funding, promoting and providing safe havens to terrorists must be dealt with in the harshest terms. In the session on strengthening multilateralism, economic, financial affairs and artificial intelligence, Honorable Prime Minister expressed that diversity and multipolarity were valued strengths of the BRICS. He added that BRICS could play an important role in shaping a multipolar world. In this context, he also gave few suggestions in terms of considering setting up a science and research repository in the BRICS groups by the Global South countries, to focus on supply chains of the critical minerals, both secured and make it resilient, and the BRICS group to work on responsible AI. Tomorrow, there will be a session on the environment, COP30 and global health, during which Honorable Prime Minister will reiterate India's deep commitment to environmental action. He will also elaborate on the initiatives taken by India to promote pro-people and pro-planet growth and development. And he will highlight India's initiatives in that context, particularly the International Solar Alliance, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, Global Biofuel Alliance, and International Big Cats, Mission Life, and among others. So this will be broadly the themes for the session, in doing which have been very well captured in the Leaders' Declaration, which was adopted by the leaders today. And you would say it's a very exhaustive document running into several paras. And for India's point of view, most of our concerns have been very well captured. I would like to bring to you your attention on the para 6, where there is a very strong expression for reform of the global multilateral institutions, in particular the UN and the UN Security Council, in which countries of the Global South to play an active role. And this time, that para and that formulation has been further strengthened over the Kazan's formulation, where it got reiterated, reinforced in terms of India and Brazil to play an active role in international affairs and multilateral bodies, in the UN systems and in the Security Council. I think this is a very, very strong reiteration of the role, increasingly important role, both India and Brazil will play. So we are very satisfied with this formulation. The second para of importance for us is para 34, where again the reiteration and condemnation of Pahalgam attack, and there again all the members have supported India. They expressed solidarity and strong condemnation that was very well captured in that. We have other paras, but many of India's ideas that we've been negotiating over a period of time have been well brought out. And in today's discussion, what we noticed is most of the ideas and views exchanged during all the sessions resonate with Honorable Prime Minister's views in very broad terms. Honorable Prime Minister also had bilateral meetings. One he had with Prime Minister of Malaysia, wherein Prime Minister thanked Prime Minister Ibrahim for his strong condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack, and the two leaders also discussed cooperation in multilateral arena and regional security. Honorable Prime Minister congratulated Malaysia for its successful stewardship of ASEAN and welcomed its continued support for a strengthened ASEAN-India comprehensive strategic partnership and early successful completion of the review of the ASEAN-India FTA. The second meeting that he had was with the President of Cuba, His Excellency Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. And there again, both leaders talked about bilateral issues and exchange ideas on further economic cooperation between the two countries. And very clearly in this meeting, India's digital public infrastructure and UPI, Unified Payment Interoperability, these proposals, initiatives of India which are low cost came up. Cuba showed a lot of interest to look into it and see how much it can benefit from those. Another item that came in the discussion was Cuba's possible recognition of Ayurveda and extended support for integrating Ayurveda into Cuba's public health system. There was also a suggestion that for Cuba to recognize Indian pharmacopoeia, and which will benefit in terms of giving access to India's generic medicines to Cuban national healthcare system. So these are broadly the discussions that happened in the bilaterals. In addition, Prime Minister also had pull-asides with President Ramaphosa of South Africa and Prime Minister of Vietnam. So broadly, these are the today's highlights. And if there are any questions you might want or seek clarification, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much.